Audrey. Welcome back if you're coming back, and hi if you're new. This video is about blending powder eyeshadow on the mature eye. I was inspired by Alex and Ali to do this video because she did an amazing video last week, I think it was, maybe the week before, like an in-depth tutorial on blending eyeshadow. And I watched it and I loved it because she's so amazing. But I thought there's no way that this is going to look the way on me that it looks on her. Just because my eyelids aren't like that. They're not, the skin is not tight. The skin is loose and it's sort of fluid and it moves around. But I thought there's no reason why I can't show people how to blend eyeshadow on the mature eye. So there's a bunch of tips and tricks. If you want to see how I got this look, follow along. Okay, let's get started. Some tools. A fluffy brush, a dense brush, like a towel, like a microfiber towel. I use an eyeshadow base. This is from Gerard Cosmetics. This is the shade Fair. You can see my eyelids have quite a bit of tone to them. If you want the true shades of the eyeshadow to come through, you need to have a neutral base for them to go on. If I'm doing like a brown or nude tones, I don't cover it up. But today I'm using this palette from Nabla Cosmetics. It's called Midnight. This is one of their Cutie palettes, and it's got some pretty like bright blues. So I want to make sure that the base I put the eyeshadow on is neutral and not like got different texture, different color and stuff like that in it. So the first thing I do is I take my eyeshadow base and I just take my ring finger and honestly I'm right on the edge. Do you see how little I have there? I wish this camera would focus. There, so there's just like the smallest amount, and I'm actually gonna split that between the two. And this is an actual eyeshadow base versus concealer. I use this because I find that concealer tends to slide around and move more, and particularly when using and trying to blend powder eyeshadows, I find an actual eyeshadow primer, eyeshadow base, whatever you want to call it, will work better for the more mature skin on my eye. So there, you see I neutralized the color. The reason I'm using this palette is because I want to really show the different colors blended together. So I wouldn't normally reach for something like this, but just for the purposes of this video, for showing you how I blend powder eyeshadows. So we always want to start with like a transition shade, this blue right here, this soft blue. So I'm going to start with that. I have a big fluffy brush, and let's get into it. I've got the end of the brush right now with that color, tapping off the excess. And I find if you've got eyeshadow that doesn't have a ton of pigment, it's going to be your best friend. Really, I know that it's nice to have eyeshadows that have a lot of payoff, but it's so much easier to build with something that doesn't have a ton of pigment. Do you notice what I'm doing here though? That I'm just tapping this in. I'm not swiping it. Because if I swipe, like I said, the skin around my eye is super loose. And swiping is not gonna leave it's just gonna make a mess. So I'm just tapping this. And where I'm tapping it is this is my brow bone. My brow bone's up here. This is like the orbital bone. You know the bone that you can feel where your eye socket is? That's where I'm tapping this color right now. I'm just bringing it up and out. There, so that's the start. Okay, so this is where the towel comes in. I'm just wiping this brush onto this towel, just taking as much of the pigment out of it as I can, because I'm gonna go into, ooh, itchy. Blah. I'm gonna go into this dark shade now. So this dark shade, and I think I'm gonna go with a fluffy brush, but just a little bit smaller. It's like this. See, it's sort of fluffy. It's not dense, it's fluffy. So but it's smaller so I can get in there. So I'm gonna take this dark blue, and again, I'm tapping in like this. Do you see? Just, which one is it? This one. the top of the brush. Just the top, not the sides, just the top. And I'm taking off the excess, and then I'm just gonna go like this. I'm gonna stick it right in there. You see how I stuck that in there? That's where I want this color. Imagine, if you will, when you think about color, dark pushes things back, light brings things forward. So just remember that. If you want something to look pushed back in space, you need dark. If you want something to be pulled forward in space, it needs to be light. So I'm just getting right into this crease. I'm going to start, like, this is, to me, this is the actual crease, not above the crease, but the actual crease. So I'm just going to start blending that down. And again, I'm doing motions like this. I'm tapping, not swiping. I'm just tapping this in. It takes a little bit of time and it takes a little bit of patience. And again, this is not something that I do every day, but I just, for the purposes of this video, to show you how to blend powder eyeshadow on a bit more mature skin. Fluffy brush, back into this light color, and blend the edges. We're just blending the edges of this. Blending it all together. This fluffy brush, one big fluffy eyeshadow brush is going to be your best friend. And I'm just blending and blending. Just like that. Okay, so now I want to take this dark shade and I want to use it to sort of create a bit of dimension up my lash line. So I've got this brush. So so do you see how skinny and flat it is? But it's very dense. This is actually from e.l.f. It's called a Smudge Brush. So I'm gonna go in again to that dark color, this one, and I'm just gonna take it on the top of the brush, tapping off the excess, and I'm going to just press that in to the lash line, just like that on the outer corner. I'm going to do the same on the top, but on the top I'm going to take the brush, to see what I'm doing, I'm angling it this way, sort of angling it out a bit, so that my eyes are very round, so I'm always trying to make them look longer. And by doing this, I'm creating just like a sort of a wing, but I'm sort of giving the illusion that my eye is longer. Does it make any sense? I don't know. I am not a makeup artist. I am just an enthusiast, and I just really want people to not be afraid to play with makeup. So I kind of like the way that looks right now. Obviously not done, but I really like the way that looks right now. So I've got that shadow on as a liner, so now I'm going to take this brush, it's a little bit smaller and fluffy, and I'm just going to sort of start blending that. And I'm going to take again more of this dark color right here on the end of my brush, and because it's smaller the brush, the less the product moves. So I'm going to start sort of bringing this in here and up, and again pressing, not swiping. You can see, if you look closely, you can really see the texture that I have and how loose the skin is around my eyes. I'm going to do the same on this side, and I'm going to bring this color. I've been doing the other side off camera. This eye's super watery today for whatever reason. I have my contacts in and the contact lens in this eye. Don't know what's going on, it's driving me out of my mind. So, now we want to go back in again with our big fluffy, get some more of that light blue, and we're just blending around the edges, just so that there's no harsh lines. That's all this does, is keeps it from any harsh lines forming. Go back in here with a little bit more of this dark and just try to create the same shape that I have on the other side. That's the one thing that I struggle the most with, is the shape being the same on both sides. And I don't know if it's because my eyes are so differently shaped. Like, I have no idea what the deal is there, but one will always be more of like a pointy than the other. It's so strange. I have a mirror over here that I'm looking into so I can see what's happening. Okay, so now if I were wearing this out, like this look out, like on a night on the town type of look, I would take one of these shimmers and I would add that shimmer over where the dark is. But I'm not, so I'm not going to. However, I am going to take this white. It's like a shimmery white. It's like a pearly, almost light blue, and I'm just going to take that. I'm keeping it on my ring finger, and I'm just going to brighten this area right here. Just right there. Not a lot, just that little bit, so that the lighter part looks more intentional. Okay, so the final step for this is just to kind of clean up everything. Not that it's not too bad, actually. So take a little bit of concealer, whichever one you like. This is the Rare Beauty. Put a little bit of that on the back of my hand. But I mean, when I say a little, like a little, I just want to use a teensy tiny bit. And this is a brush I have, and this is from the KJH Spectrum collection. And it's flat, and it's meant specifically for doing cleanup. So I've worked this concealer into the edge, into the end of the brush, and I'm just gonna go here like this, and I'm just gonna like ever so slightly clean up the edge of that right there, just like that. Oh my gosh, my eyeball. And I'm gonna do a little bit on this side. Same thing. Yeah, just like that. So yeah, let's get some mascara on and see what we got. It's not as difficult as one might think to blend powder eyeshadow on a mature eye. I'm 56 years old. I have the skin on my eyes is very soft, very, the word flaccid comes to mind, but that's not really, you know. But it's very soft, very loose. But if you use the right techniques, patting, not really swiping, and you take your time, you can really, really do a beautiful job. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, you know, there's a little thumbs up on the bottom. Subscribe if you want. There's just going to be more sort of how-to stuff on this channel for the mature face. And I hope you all have a great day. Bye, everyone.